Welcome to the coding class, everyone. Today we are going to learn how to take input from console in Python. How to take input from console in Python. In our previous class, we learned about the data types, when and how to use it, how to declare the variables. Today we will apply them here and take input from user, then we output it. We will first take our first practical. So my first input, say input 1 should be equal to input, then my bracket. Now let me try and print it. I'm going to print input 1, whatever will be stored in input 1. I've declared an input and I'm going to accept input from a user. Now after accepting the input from a user, I'm now going to actually print it out to the user. So I run my code and I say my input to be boy. So I press enter and I get boy, meaning I requested any input from a user. The user entered something here, then it was stored in input 1. Now in this input 1, I print out this input 1, then it gave me whatever the user input here. Now you can represent it with any variable you want. So let's say A. So if A is equal to the input we are taking, that means we are to print out A. So just run. Then let's say Tom. We will enter and it gives us Tom. Very simple. Now we'll move on to our next practice. Our next practice is, now we know how to take input from a user. We are going to add data types as to whether it is an integer, a float, a string. We are going to add data types to our input we take from our users. Our first practical session, we will take 2 inputs from our users. So let's say A. Now you can see this one is different from the first example, in the sense that in this example, we have actually indicated the data type of the input. We have actually specified the data type. On the first one, we didn't specify, but this one we did specify the data type, or the type of data the person should enter. Either should it be variable or letter or a decimal number. Here we are saying an integer, so it can be any number. Now we will take another input as B. Then that one we will also declare it. Now we've also taken an input B, meaning we've declared 2 memory spaces, of which in this memory space we are going to tell the user to input something. Now we are more specific here, telling the user to input a number, a whole number, an integer. Okay. Now we will try and print out whatever the user has input. So we say A, let's just say A here. So let's print out. So I'll say boy. Now there is something here. We've declared two inputs here. We are going to accept both of them inside. Now this is what we are going to do. We are going to accept two numbers from a user. Accepting these two numbers from a user, we are going to add them, or we are going to apply some bit of arithmetic here. So we can actually say A plus B. Okay, so we can say A plus B, meaning whatever the input the person will input here, whatever number the person also input here, we are going to print the sum of these two numbers. For now, we don't know, but we know that they are being stored in memory spaces A and B. Therefore, we are going to print out what is in memory space A plus what is in memory space B. That's the meaning here. Then we will get our results. So we run our code, we enter a number. So the first number, the 70, my 70 is stored in A. It's an integer. The second number, I type 45, so it was stored in B. Now let's see our results. If it's going to actually give us the sum of these two numbers. Okay, so we say 78, 45. When we press enter, we got 123, meaning the sum of these two numbers. Please, any question? Okay. Now you see, when we run our code, it doesn't tell us anything. We would like to prompt our user to actually know what he or she is doing. So we can actually customize our code and say, please enter any two integers. Then after that, we can also tell our user that whatever will be shown is his or her result. So we say your results is displayed below. Okay, so let's run. It says, please enter this. So it's saying, please enter two numbers. So we will enter two numbers. I say 12. I press my enter. 26. Then I can press enter. It says your results is displayed below. That's 38. Okay, we can also try other mathematical operators. So let's try the multiplication sign. That's asterisk. Then let's see. We'll run our program. Now it says please enter any two numbers. I say 21, then 17. Press enter. It says your results is displayed below. Now my answer is 3, 5, 7. That's Multiples of 21 and 17 will give me 357. We can also change the sign here to a division. Now, when we change the meaning, the first number will be divided by the second number. Now, we will rerun our code. Says please enter two numbers. So let's say our first number A, then let's use 5. So you can see your result is displayed below 20, 20, 20. Any question, please? Now, one more thing, we can also use a float instead of integer. So we are using a float. Okay. Now, in a float, let's use the operating sign minus. So in a float, meaning our program can take decimal numbers. So we run our code. So let's say 5.3, then 2.6. Says your result is displayed below 2.699997. So this is how we can use to take input from a user, and you can actually apply any of the operators to it. Now let's move on in accepting numbers which are string. That's our last for today. So we can actually say, please enter your name, whereby we are going to only store it in one memory space, that's A. Now in string here, we use str. You saw in an integer, I use int. In a float, I use float. Now, whenever you are using string, you use it as str, then your input will come. So it says let's clear this. Your word is displayed below. So A. Now let's run. It says please enter your name. So I'll say Billy. I'll press enter. It says your word is displayed below Billy. So this is how in Python you can actually take input from all the users, regardless of it being an integer, it being a float, or it being a string. You can use this to actually build upon any knowledge you've gotten so far. Please, any question? Now, our last assessment or our last practice we will do for today is we are going to also learn how to take double inputs. Double input. In Python, it is allowed to take double input. So for example, let's declare our space. So let's say X and Y. We say X and Y should be equal to. We are going to take an input. So we can say enter to values. Then we will bring something called split. We are going to print each of them separately. So here we will say print number of boys. Now we can actually dedicate the number of boys to each of the two declarations we've already made. We've declared X and Y. Now we are splitting it for each purposes, for different purposes. Now, as we are starting, we are saying print X. X is going to take the number of boys, meaning the first value a person will enter is for number of boys. Now we are going to also assign the second one to number of girls. So we will change this to Y. To Y. Now after that, let's print our results. Before I print it, let me go over. Here we are going to take two inputs at the same time, performing different functions. Now we declare two variables, X and Y inputs. The person enters the input, we are splitting it. Now we are saying print out the number of boys should be X and the number of girls should be Y, meaning the first input the person will actually type will be assigned to the number of boys, and the second input the person will also type will be assigned to the number of girls. So we run our code, it tells us to enter two values. So we say 86. So you print the number of boys and the number of girls. So the first input will be to the number of boys, and the second input will be to the number of girls.